the incessant drizzle of a New York autumn blurred the million lights of Manhattan into a watercolor painting. Inside the opulent ballroom of the Pierre Hotel, it was a different world, a world of crystal, champagne, and carefully constructed smiles. For Anya Sharma, it was a gilded cage. Her lehenga, a breathtaking masterpiece of hand-embroidered gold and crimson, felt heavier than lead. The weight of her family's expectations, the sheer enormity of the commitment she was about to make, pressed down on her with each forced smile. Vikram was handsome, successful, from a good family, the perfect match on paper. But as she looked at her reflection in the ornate mirror, a stranger in royal finery stared back. This was her wedding eve celebration, a grand Indian Sangeet. But her heart was a desolate, silent place. She needed air. Excusing herself with a murmured excuse about adjusting her dupatta, she slipped through a side door, out onto a deserted balcony overlooking Fifth Avenue. The cold, damp air was a shock, a welcome slap after the perfumed warmth inside. She leaned against the railing, the city's chaotic symphony a stark contrast to the classical music inside, trying to escape the royal court. The voice, laced with a gentle, amused curiosity, came from the shadows. Anya started, turning to see a man leaning against the balcony wall, a faint glow from his cigarette illuminating sharp features and eyes that held the city's spark. He was dressed not in a sherwani or tuxedo, but in dark jeans, a leather jacket, and an ease that seemed utterly alien to her world. "I don't blame you," he continued, stubbing out the cigarette. "All that glitter can get suffocating." "Leo," he said, offering a simple introduction. "Anya," she replied, her voice barely a whisper. She expected judgment, a question about why a bride was outside alone. Instead, he just nodded. "Rough night, Anya." And something about his disarming simplicity, the complete absence of expectation, made the walls around her crumble. The words tumbled out, not about Vikram, not about the wedding, but about herself. She spoke of her love for art history, her dream of working at the Met, how it had all been quietly shelved for a more suitable future. She spoke of the invisible threads of duty that had woven her life into this magnificent, stifling tapestry. Leo listened, not just with his ears, but with his entire being. He was a photographer, he told her, captivated by the raw, unfiltered stories of the city. "You know," he said, his gaze intense, "the most beautiful pictures aren't the perfectly staged ones. They're the ones that capture a single, real, unguarded moment. A story in a glance." He looked at her, at the exquisite bride swathed in gold. Her eyes filled with a quiet storm. "Your story is written all over your face, Anya, and it's not the one they're celebrating in there." He didn't try to convince her. He simply saw her, truly saw her.
And in that seeing, Anya found a courage she didn't know she possessed. "Show me," she said suddenly, the decision crystallizing in an instant. A slow, incredible smile spread across Leo's face. "Your chariot awaits, milady." He gestured to a classic, rain-slicked yellow taxi he'd hailed from the street below. What followed was a whirlwind, a blur of neon and laughter. They didn't go to fancy clubs or Michelin-starred restaurants. He took her to a cramped, steamy dumpling house in Chinatown where they ate with plastic forks. They wandered through the silent, majestic halls of Grand Central, him capturing her awestruck face as she looked up at the celestial ceiling, her lehenga shimmering under the vastness. They danced to the music of a lone saxophonist in Washington Square Park, the rain having stopped, leaving the world glistening. He photographed her constantly, not as a posed bride, but as Anya laughing with a strand of hair stuck to her lipstick, her eyes wide with wonder at the simple joy of a hot dog from a street cart, her head thrown back as she felt the liberating spray of a fountain. With every click of his camera, he was not taking a picture, he was giving her back a piece of herself she had lost. As the first hints of dawn painted the sky behind the skyscrapers a soft lilac, they found themselves on the Brooklyn Bridge. The city was quiet, holding its breath. The lehenga was smudged, her hair was a mess, and she had never felt more beautiful. "The sun's coming up, Anya," Leo said softly, his voice thick with an unspoken goodbye. "Your tomorrow is here." Anya looked at the waking city, then at the man who had given her the most honest night of her life. He had been the groom at her wedding to herself. He had married her back to her own spirit. She didn't kiss him. That would have belonged to the fantasy. Instead, she took his hand and squeezed it, a silent thank you that held a universe of emotion. "I know," she said, her voice steady and clear for the first time all night. She walked back into the hotel lobby as the first rays of sun streamed through the windows. The party was long over, the silence deafening. Her parents and a frantic Vikram rushed towards her. "Anya, where have you been? We were worried sick." She looked at them, then down at her ruined, beautiful lehenga, the gown of her one-night marriage to freedom. She took a deep breath. She said, her voice echoing in the grand, empty hall, "have been rediscovering my story." She walked past them, not towards the altar that awaited, but towards the hotel's business center. She had a resume to update and an email to send to the Met. The real wedding was over. Her life had just begun. Leo's final photo, developed weeks later, was of her on the bridge at dawn. The city was a masterpiece behind her, but she was the focal point, not a runaway bride, but a woman arriving, finally, at herself, the one-night bride of Manhattan, who had found a forever love for her own soul.